Alrighty, welcome back from the episode of Two Plane Sports. Today, as Jose's shirt says, and our shirts in the store says, things that don't suck, but today does not suck. Daniel Akinkunmi commits to Oklahoma, adds to already an impressive class, a top 7, top 10 class in the country, depending on where you look. Oklahoma's on the recruiting trail. It's been a little bit of a lull, I would say, in the last month, but Oklahoma at this point is just putting the finishing touches on this class, and getting another guy in the trenches at 6'5", 310 does not suck. So before we talk about him and what he's bringing to Oklahoma, be sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel, turn the notification bell on. Follow us on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, Apple, Spotify, and TikTok. Everything's linked in the description below. And remember, every Tuesday night at 8:30 p.m. Central, we do go live to talk a little OU football, recap the previous week, recruiting, hang out, and just talk some general college football. So catch us every Tuesday evening. All right, Brandon, I'm going to turn it over to you. Today does not suck. What do you think?
About a week that doesn't suck. Just everything about this week has not sucked. Daniel Akinkunmi. There's not a lot to not love about this kid. He's a huge kid, 6'4.5", 310, moves around, mauls kids. Great accent. You can watch his YouTube video from his official visit. Seems like just a really down to earth, grounded kid. He's gonna bring everything you got. He's got Coach B as his coach. It's a big day for Oklahoma. You land a huge commitment, literally and figuratively. He's a big one. I'm pretty excited about it. I think he's very underrated. 24/7 has him, or nationally he's like 650, 700, something like that. But he is the number one player in the entire country of England. So he's got that for him.
We did secure the number one player in the country. So you can't complain about that. If anyone's saying we can't do that, we definitely did. I think the coolest thing, obviously, outside of how big he is, it takes away all those people that were doubting Coach B in his recruiting. I think we've talked about it before, but the offensive line group, not that it's not exciting to get highly rated 4 stars and 5 stars, even on the offensive line, regardless of position. I think that position just isn't well graded when you look at the recruiting platforms. It's like a very niche thing. You really got to know what you're looking at, and I would assume that for the most part, you really and you also got to know the scheme and what they're going to fit in. Like Coach B knows what he's looking for. You really just got to trust with what he's trying to add to the class and who he's trying to add to. Really got to not focus on rating too much here. This is a kid that's going to contribute at some point for Oklahoma. His size, he's already huge, right? 6'5", 310, something like that. And then the big thing for me is I believe he was supposed to go to Clemson and Miami at some point after his Oklahoma official visit, but those were never actually scheduled, or maybe they were canceled after the OU visit. He did visit Baylor, according to his 24/7, back in the summer, but he went to Oklahoma, and that game day experience, the official visit experience, I'm sure that it was really cool that they gave him permission to record all that stuff. Like, everything was worked out in Oklahoma's favor, and then it was the blowout win against Arkansas State when he visited, so not a bad one for him to see the offense just absolutely move like that. I think this is going to be one where you're going to look back and say, this was actually pretty pivotal for Oklahoma on the offensive line, because he's got the size where he can be a good tackle, and if they add enough weight, he's like not too big to play guard either.
And Jose, you're right. He was scheduled to go, and I think there were quite a few visits, 3 or 4 visits scheduled for official visits following weekends. And after the OU visit, he promptly canceled all those. And it seemed somewhat obvious all along. If you take an official and then you cancel all your other visits, that points and bodes well for that school that hosted you. So, coming into this visit, I never felt like it was like for sure Oklahoma by any means. It kind of, it's tough to gauge whenever you're recruiting a guy that's in a different country, halfway across the world. You only really get one shot with him. And the fact that Oklahoma was able to bring him in, obviously playing against Arkansas State definitely helps, but being able to show him what Oklahoma can do for him in the atmosphere and everything else, and convincing him not to take in any other visits is huge. So he joins the offensive line class now. You've got Isaiah Autry, Josh Isosa, and Eugene Brooks that are all in this class. So he's the fourth offensive lineman to join the fold. While, like you said, they might not be, the most highest rated guys, 5 stars, flashiness. Granted, you need 5 stars and things like that, but I agree with you. The offensive line position or along the offensive line, the tackles, guards, and centers, it's the hardest position to grade. That's the reason why there's so many people in the NFL draft that can get drafted in the 4th and 5th and 6th rounds, make the roster and start and be a great NFL offensive lineman. It's just, no matter if you're at the high school, college level recruiting out of high school, or the NFL drafting from the college level, the offensive line is a tough position to draft. You kind of know about every other position for the most part. You get a good idea who's an elite wide receiver and who's an elite defensive lineman, but offensive linemen are extremely difficult.
He definitely goes towards filling out that planes too.
Yeah, for sure. I wonder how, and I'm sure he talked about it. Maybe I don't remember, but I wonder how much it being his first visit, probably his first time experiencing that kind of travel during the school year, I would assume, in football season for the NFL Academy, if that took a hit. Like, I really like Oklahoma, and I don't think any other school is going to show me something that's better. And I don't know, maybe at some point he's like, they might. And is he going to be an early enrollee? There's some questions about him, but his ability is not even, I don't think, is questionable. And he is being prepared by, because the NFL Academy is something that the NFL sponsors, right? So I'm assuming their coaches are someone that at some point is going to be coaching in the NFL or scouts for the NFL. Like, they know what they're doing over there.
Yeah, and when you look at what Oklahoma's brought in this class so far, granted, Eddie Pierre-Louis is still out there looming. Hopefully Oklahoma gets him. But when you look at just from a stat, and height and weight standpoint, you got Josh Isosa at 6'4", 305, Isaiah Autry at 6'6", 300 pounds, Eugene Brooks at 6'4", 320, and then you have Daniel Akinkunmi at 6'5", 310. To be honest with you, and I don't really remember Oklahoma assembling an offensive line class where everyone was over 300 pounds coming out of high school. I mean, am I just, trying to pump some sunshine here? But I really don't remember, and none of them are like a bad 300 pounds. You know what I'm saying? Like, just shouldn't be 300. I mean, these, from the pictures and stuff, it looks like 300 fills out well on them.
Yeah, I looked up the first guy that I could think of from last year's class, and Logan Howland. As a freshman on the OU official website, he's 6'6", 284. But, yeah. I mean, 20-pound difference between him, who's been in a weight room with Schmitty, versus the lightest guy in this 2024 class, offensive line wise. So, I mean, you're right. They're definitely going for size, and maybe it's also to the point where they're also all guys that could be guards or tackles. Like, you could, if you need to slim them down 5 pounds, you can do that and make them a little bit more athletic and agile to play tackle. Or if you need guards, you can put on another 10, 15 pounds on a couple of those guys, and maybe not even that much. And they're not too tall to be playing on the interior of the line.
And the one guy that has come out of the class last year, the offensive line class, Caden Green, coming out of Lee Summit High School, he was 6'5", 315. So, and he's the guy that played in the OU Texas game. And so he's naturally ready to go. And I think that's what Oklahoma is doing, is they're identifying, yes, you might need to have some players that take 2 years, 3 years to really get where they need to go. But having those guys already at 300 pounds and there's, they filled out 300. I'm not saying any of them are going to start next year, but we also didn't really think Caden Green would probably start or contribute meaningful snaps in the biggest game of the year to date. These guys very well might.
We'll see. Yeah, I agree.
So having the guys that are potentially more ready to play, I think, is something that Oklahoma is definitely looking for, and that's what they're getting in Daniel Akinkunmi and the other guys in this class.
Also, just a fun name to say.
Yeah, for sure. And
You're muted, host.
Oh, go ahead.
We finally figured out how to say it.
Yes, you were very close. Very
close.
close on the live stream.
I kept saying Akinkunmi.
I'll give you that. Yeah.
And then also Eddie Pierre-Louis, he's 6'3", 335. So they're all recruiting guys that are over 300 pounds.
Load the planes up, boys.
Yeah, load the planes. But that's all I've got, unless you guys have more to add with him.
No. Just so we got great week to be an Oklahoma Sooner. Great win last Saturday. Big time commitment here. So let's drop our Daniel Akinkunmi thoughts, and also being that he is the best player in the country. I'm sure some people who have watched the show have been to London. It's a pretty popular, tourist area. So if you have been to London, drop your favorite London spots, or your favorite things to do in London. I think that would be a fun end of video.
Nice. All right. You made it this far. Be sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel, turn the notification bell on. Follow us on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, Apple, Spotify, and TikTok. Everything is linked in the description below. And remember, every Tuesday night at 8:30 p.m. Central, we do go live to talk general college football and Sooner football. And be sure to check out the T-shirt and the link in the description below as well. See you guys.